birthday. I was so excited. We're still glad to be here and still glad to be worshiping together, even if it is in a virtual format. So thank you guys so much for coming out and being here with us in this way. So not too many announcements, but one of them we do want to say is thank you to all of you who came out to our Focus Nature Walk on Saturday. That was a lovely time. About 20 of us got some Dunkin' hot chocolate, which
liquid gold.
So good. Liquid gold, just amazing. And some coffee, but coffee. But went down to the Riverwalk and walked it. That was the most exercise I've gotten in a while, and it was tough. I was breathing heavy by mile 1, but I ended up walking like 5.5, 6 miles, something like that. So for those of you who were there, good job. Heck yeah, we love it. But if you weren't there, I'm sure we will have another event like it in the future. So stay tuned to your emails and make sure to come next time. We missed you. Another announcement, as always, focus groups. There's going to be one virtually after the service, which is popping off, so make sure to come by. And one Thursday in person at 7 in the gathering room, if that's correct. Am I incorrect in that? Or am I correct in that or incorrect in that? Okay, I'm correct in that. Cool. Sorry, we were getting some faces behind the camera, so it's good to know that I was right. But anyway, moving on from that to our main event of the night, our very own discipleship coordinator, co-music director, and just blonde beauty, Eric Nelson. Yeah, well, what to say about Eric? Eric Nelson is a junior. He's a business management major, but who cares about that? Because he has minors in religious studies and psychology.
Yeah.
He said those are real important, just to clarify. He works at Jimmy John's.
Let's go.
So, I mean, that's awesome. Make sure to come by and get a free sandwich.
Free smells.
He told me that he's giving them out, just waiting at the door for you guys to get it, and just giving them away. So, make sure to come by. It's the Tiny Nightclub is my favorite. He's also the worship team. He's on his worship team at his church. That's where he gets his lovely skills from here, which are just applicable. If he could be any animal, which is, we're diving deep for the questions here today. But if he could be any animal, he would be a raccoon.
Nice.
Which
I think they're cute. Okay?
A couple claps for raccoons.
I think they're cute.
Yeah, he thinks they're cute, and hey, to each their own, right? To each their own. Fun fact about him: one of his favorite movies and just universes is Star Wars, which is fantastic. Mandalorian, if you haven't seen it, it's fire. But on a very more serious note, Eric loves God, he loves other people, and he is just such a kind and great heart. And so I'm super excited to hear from him and what he has to say. So please give a warm virtual focus welcome to Eric Nelson.
The number 9 is a real popular one, Daniel, Town Nightclub. Thank you all for joining us, and thank you for the kind words, Daniel. We find ourselves right now in the liturgical season of Lent, which is a time of reflection and prayer leading up to the days of Jesus' betrayal, crucifixion, and resurrection. While I usually prefer the joyous anticipation of Advent and, of course, Christmas, I've found more comfort lately in Lent. Like a sad song heals a broken heart, Lent just feels more fitting for the times we find ourselves in and certain events in my life. So I want to share some of my thoughts that I have during this season, and I hope to offer some honest reflection and encouragement. We begin Lent with Ash Wednesday, centered around the words of Genesis 3:19, "You are dust, and to dust you shall return." Dust is the dirt below our feet, collecting on stagnant surfaces, blowing away in the wind. It is the stuff of the earth, messy and temporary. We are all made of this same dust. This is our shared humanity in life and in death. It's been a really difficult year to be made of the same dust. It has frustrated me to no end to share in the brokenness that I see all around us, when all I want to do is distance myself from it. I don't want to face the same wandering heart inside of me that has led 3 of my friends on separate occasions this year to betray me or those close to me. I don't condone their actions, but if I'm being honest, I do know some of their pain. It frustrates me to share, even if only in name, the same faith as the people who stormed our Capitol, and just the history of Christianity being abused and abusing others. I don't really know, I haven't settled yet to what extent the theology itself is responsible for the ways in which it's used, but I do know that we all share responsibility when the name of our Lord is used in vain. I'm afraid of mistakes, enemies, and regrets, so I often avoid decisions, stances, and leaps of faith. I'm only human, so the mistakes, enemies, and regrets find me anyways, and in trying to avoid them, I miss out on some of the fullness of life. This shared brokenness is our original sin. Whether we acknowledge it or not, we are all vulnerable to sin and capable of it. All of the pain, suffering, and injustice we've witnessed this year is a result of our brokenness, and it's somehow all within the realm of the human experience. It's really, really difficult to think that we all share the same foundation for evil, and maybe in another life we could be directly responsible for it. This is the humility that comes from being made from the dust. Yet there is also dignity in our incarnation. God breathed his life into the dust, making us in his image. He makes beautiful things out of the dust and calls us good. Our planet itself formed when gravity collected dust and debris from the destruction of stars. We share as much with the earth below our feet as the stars above us in the night sky. And then God sent his Son to be with us, as Hebrews 2:17 says, fully human in every way, in order that he might become a merciful and faithful high priest. The Word became flesh and took our form to share in both our humility and dignity, showing us how to live and leading us to God. In this season of Lent, I'm grateful that Jesus knows what it's like to be human. He understands me. Jesus was betrayed. Judas betrays him with a kiss, and Peter denies their friendship 3 times. Jesus was frustrated. He flipped tables in the temple when he saw Roman appointed high priests abusing religion and power for exploitation and oppression. Jesus was afraid. He prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane for the strength to remain faithful and finish the work God gave him. See, God could have chosen to distance himself from our brokenness like I really wish I could. Yet as Romans 5:8 says, while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. When he could have remained in the Holy of Holies, Jesus' death tore the curtain of the temple in 2, our faithful high priest leading us to God. I've spent too much time this year dwelling on all of this brokenness instead of focusing on God's goodness. Now, I fully understand we need to accept our brokenness and come to grips with it so we can appreciate the fullness of what God has to offer, but I've been down in the dumps for too long with it. I think it's time that I heed the example that Jesus set and embrace what it means to be human and all the good and bad it has to offer. See, Hebrews 2:17 links the shared experience of being human with the ability to show mercy. That's not to say that God wasn't merciful until Jesus, but rather Jesus displayed God's mercy and showed us how we could show mercy to others because we all share the same human experience. See, we often fear the unknown, and fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. That's Yoda, not Jesus. But the point is, it's really hard to hate something or someone when you understand it. Being made of the same dust means that we all share the same vulnerability as those who have hurt us and hurt others. This doesn't excuse their actions, but it may soften our hearts. As my youth pastor used to say, everyone was once a child who wanted to be held, even Jesus. Most of our frustration ought to be directed away from individuals and towards the evil that corrupts them. As Christians, we have a responsibility to stand up for the poor and powerless, dismantle systems of oppression, and call out bad theology that says otherwise. What would Jesus do? Flip tables. Not only is it an option, sometimes it's encouraged. The radical life that Jesus led drew both attention and opposition. Jesus tells us to love our enemies, but make no mistake, he still had enemies. They killed him. Jesus was criticized while performing literal miracles. He couldn't please everybody, so what makes us think that we can? In Galatians 1:10, Paul writes, "Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ." In this life, we will be betrayed by our shared brokenness and let down by the world. In John 16:33, Jesus says, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world." So stand up for what you believe in, or at the very least, stand up for yourself. You may lose friends or even make enemies, but you can trust the people who will stand by you. You may be frustrated with the world or even yourself, but you can work towards a better tomorrow. You'll make mistakes and unfortunately regrets, but that's a whole lot better than not trying and not knowing. I'm a cautious optimist. Things seem to be getting a little better. The weather's getting nicer, the vaccines are starting to roll out, everyone's becoming more informed global citizens. It's great to see. So now, with this year mostly behind us, we still have a ways to go. Let's turn our focus to God's goodness and pray for the coming resurrection. Will you pray with me? God, thank you so much for, as Daniel said, bringing us to the 1-year anniversary of the pandemic. Didn't think we'd make it this far in multiple senses, but thank you so much for bringing us all here in whatever form we're gathering. Thank you for all of the hardships that we've endured and the lessons that we've learned. May we take them with us, but may we also put them in the past. We really need right now this season of Lent to reflect, but more than ever we need the resurrection. So be with us as hopefully things start to get better. May we remain vigilant, and may we always remember that you are with us, that you came here to be with us